Hello, fellow mutants. Welcome back to another video. In this video, I came across this actually I came across this article that I wanted to share with you guys. That was pretty interesting. So you guys know after the Last Airbender had 3 seasons, 3 amazing seasons. Um, and loved it. I still have a lot of love for the after the Last Airbender show that came out 19 years ago. I have love a lot of love for There's a lot of love I got for what's the word? Legend of Korra being the spinoff, right? But I always felt like in Legend of Korra they didn't really make any mention really, I feel like, to what happened to Azula after the events of after the Last Airbender. So when I saw this, after the Last Airbender, season 4 planned, Azula's redemption and more. That like that made me very interested because we all know Azula's the crazy one between the two siblings, right? And sure, I've heard that you can read like some comics to find out what happened to her and Zuko's mother. Um, was I've yet to read by the time I'm making this video. Um, but that's like that is one question that I've been having. Like one character, along with like Suki, that I wondered what the hell happened to Sula after the events of after the Last Airbender, right? And like the fact that they were planning to do like a redemption arc for Sula, like does she actually have one? But we just didn't see it. So like that leaves a lot of questions for me. Anyways, let's read. Book 1 Water, Book 2 Earth, Book 3 Fire. The naming conventions of the After the Last Airbender cartoon certainly left the door open for season 4. Fans everywhere would have loved to see a Book 4 air. Yes, I can actually vouch for that. But it was not meant to be. Still, there was the recent release of After the Last Airbender series on Netflix has fans looking back on what they learned about the possible cartoon series 4, cartoon season 4, even if it never came to pass. After all, given this new form of storytelling of Avatar, old ideas could still rise to life. Ooh, and that sounds exciting. I forgot. I thought I was talking to you guys. You guys couldn't see my face. Sorry, but yeah, that sounds really exciting to be honest. So let's continue, shall we? In 2019, the head writer of After the Last Airbender cartoon gave a very detailed description of one storyline he planned for a potential season 4 of the show. It's one fans would be if one fans would have loved to see other story details also emerge in the timeline following the series' third season. Let's look at it. After the Last Airbender season 4 arc, Azula's redemption. You can see Aaron inside S's Twitter. See the fullest thread in Stew, but below we compile the writer's full thoughts of the potential Avatar: The Last Airbender season 4 redemption arc for Princess Azula. So this is what he wrote. I've always intended for Azula to have a redemption arc in the story of After the Last Airbender, longer and far more complicated than Zuko's. She had not bottomed in the end of season 3. She had further to go. At the deepest moment of her own abyss, she would have found Zuko. Despite it all, her brother Zuko would be there for her, believing in her, sticking by her, doing his best to understand and help her hold her pain that she can no longer hold alone. Shuko, patient, forgiving, and unconditionally loving, all strengths he gained from Uncle Iroh. That means that's how she would have gotten out and changed with the faith and love of someone she had hurt, but who stuck by her anyway. Just as she had saved just as he had been saved by faith and love from someone he had hurt, but who stuck by him. And I always imagined that after coming out the other side, she would be one of those people who hilariously overshares her feelings all the time. And that she would be a bit over apologetic, like a Canadian version of Zula. Dude, that oh my god. I would so love to see that. Can we get like a season 4 since Last Airbender's getting like a reemergence in like popularity now because of Netflix series too? Can we get like a season 4 or like a comic book, some sort of like way we can get this story flowing out? Because man, I would ooh I would so love to see this play out. This interests me a lot, and this excites me. This excites me. Kind of makes me sad too that we didn't get this chance because it would make one hell of a badass story. Zuko and Solo as foils and mirrors. Okay, honestly, reading the description of After the Last Airbender season 4 that could have been really touches us. It would have made for a perfect continuation of the narrative. For so long, Zuko and Azula seemed to be foils of one another. And that's where, after the Last Airbender final cartoon season left them, Azula, despite her competence and power, allowed fury and ambition to consume her, whereas Zuko finally found some solid footing and let go of some of the rage he had carried for so long. Azula and Zuko became perfect inversions of one another. Should Avatar have forgotten? Should Avatar have forgotten? Should Avatar have? Should Avatar? Blah, blah, blah. Should Avatar have gotten a season 4? However, it could have taken Zuko and Azula to a place where their storylines could become mirrors instead. It would have been a beautiful conclusion to both their tales. Plus, we loved the idea of an overall apologetic, oversharing Azula. 10 out of 10, no notes. And I think too, like, even if they like called it like what's it like Legends of Suko or like Azula, right? The Azula arc, right? Leaving the whole After the Last Airbender title behind and just call it like Suko and Azula or um Avatar, and then the dot dot thing like that goes up and top and bottom with each other. The Lost Arc or something like that. I don't know, but I think us fans would like that and appreciate that, and that's part of the reason why I like Star Wars so much because we essentially saw that with like Darth Vader getting redeemed towards the end uh of Return of the Jedi, and I can see what they were trying to do with Kylo Ren, kind of in the episode 9, Star Wars episode 9, but they could have done it better. But I think if Britain will, us human beings are suckers for redemption stories. We are suckers for redemption stories. Anyways, Aang friend struggles and friendship with Sugo. Ooh, okay. So this is what they were saying. One plotline followed up on Aang's taking away Fire Lord Ozai spending at the end of the third season. So quote unquote, my feeling about that was like there's always a cause, right? There's always some balance. You can't just be like, I'm the Avatar, taking your powers away. It's a great power, but it's part of it is you just took all of his evil into you. To take it away from someone else, you're holding onto it to protect the world. The story I wanted to tell with Aang was about him struggling with taking some of that inside and probably a considerable amount of anger and guilt and big feelings. By that way, guess who would be the best person to have a mini vacation with? It's Suko. Someone someone who was processed a lot of anger on his own right. We love Sensugo being the stable shoulder for everyone to cry on. And even though the ending of After the Last Airbender is unequivocally perfect, which it is, there's nothing like a good aftermath story. There we go. We could have like the this called be called Avatar Aftermath. Or After the Last Airbender Aftermath. There we go. Kinda like Serbian, it's like someone lose base season 4 while still being like a kind of like a standalone season series, but you have to watch but you still have to watch like Avatar the Last Airbender seasons 1 through 3 first to in order to like really get what's going on here. I can say that's working. Anyways, there's nothing like a good. We also would have felt excited to see the friendship between Aang and Zuko, and also the first blossom more space. So other ideas for after the last Airbender season 4, like how they had Monkey also. Additionally, it's stated over storylines included one around the spirit world featuring Iroh, and as also known the following details about after our season 4 stories, revealing that series considered a story about a child being born that people were wondering if this was another Airbender or not. In particular, Aang started to wonder if this was the reincarnation of Gyatso. Ooh, okay. This was something I wanted to do and talk about the idea of friendship lasting beyond lifetimes. So after the last Airbender season 4 never happened. Okay. Despite all these great ideas, after the last Airbender never received a season 4. Uh, it shares, quote unquote, in my mind, I was always thinking this was going to be a 4 season arc. Maya Bryant's initial plan was 3 seasons, but there was a period where they were open to the possibility of a 4 season. There was a period where Mike said, "Hey, can you run season 4?" This then some of the plans got interrupted, and we had a 4th season. We had a 4th season, and the road had if the road deemed it, but at last the road had did not deem it. Let me finish. However, in recent years, the original creators of the series, Michael Dante DiMartino and Brian Colasco, announced they'd be making a sequel film. The new outline continues the story of the cartoon's first 3 seasons. It's possible the series that some of the season's 4 ideas could make their way into the new Avatar movie featuring Aang, Zuko, and the rest. If nothing else, please give us an oversharing Azula. We beg of you, Avatar gods. But no, I think I think an redeemed Azula would be cool. Um, I would be up for that. I mean, who doesn't like nice redemption arc? I mean, like not every character should needs to be redeemed. Not every character should be redeemed. But I think Azula is one of those what's it called, wild cards, where if you didn't redeem her, I think the fandom will be okay with that. But at the same time, if you did redeem her, I also think that I also think that the fandom would accept that. So either way, I feel like the fandom would accept Azula being redeemed and not be redeemed. She's like literally one of those wild cards in this area. But I would so be up for Sula having redemption. I would. And with the idea that they we saw in the article, that would be so badass. And I would love to see like if we're gonna do that, and if we're gonna get like after the last Airbender season 4, the Lost arc or whatever, the Lost story, right? Then of course I would love to see like okay, how does Aang like how does like taking away Filar Osiris, as they said in the hinted at in the article, how does Filar Osiris like Aang taking away his Filar Osiris firebending affect Aang's psyche? Um, does Aang have regrets about it, taking away someone's spending? How like like they suggested, did some of Osiris Aang like darkness seep into Aang? Um, did that trigger some things for Aang, where we'll essentially get what we got in the Netflix show, where Aang sees Macchiato, right? And like that fight kind of triggered a little the side of Aang that's kind of felt guilty that he thought he got over, but he didn't. And Macchiato say, "Hey, you couldn't change anything if you were here. It's not your fault what happened to us Airbenders." Like, how the hell will that like the whole final battle between him, Aang, and Ozai affect Aang? I think if they wanted to bring the season 4 with that, they could do like bring in like answer some of those questions, as well as like bring in Azula's um redemption right, as well as like maybe have this be like a year or two after the events of season 3, right? And then time jump a little bit in like starts like final minute of the um um what of the at the end of the series, and us seeing a pregnant Katara, kind of it being a pun, like hinting at, hey, we got another show that's technically set after the last. We got a show that's set shortly after, like years after the last Airbender. You should totally see it at being Lesser and Korra. So that could be a nice little tie-in. So, anyways, and like they could like easily see like answer like kind of fantasy like what happened to Suki, like in terms of like did Suki and Sokka like um stay together? Did they go their separate ways, or like is Suki pregnant too? Who knows? Or did she die? Like that Lost Arc season I'm referring to at the moment could answer that, because like Suki, like I said earlier in the video, is one of those characters that, and by the time Legend of Korra came around, I wondered what the hell happened to Suki, and a little bit of Sokka too, because even though we got like flashbacks to Sokka post after the Last Airbender, like we didn't see him like present day in Legend of Korra. So like, how did he die? Or is he dead? What is he doing during the events of Legend of Korra if he's still around? And maybe there are like comics that explains what happened to him. And if so, please let me know in the comments. With that said, what do you fellow mutants think? Let me know in the comment section down below. Love you guys. Have a wonderful day. Be kind to one another. I'll talk to you fellow mutants later. Later, taters. Grab I space to I boomer this. Later, taters. Later, taters.